Democratic members of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce put out a nearly 100-page report. They looked into the NFL's attempts to inappropriately influence the direction of the National Institute of Health's concussion research program. The NFL pulled $16 million in funding for the NIH study looking at the role of CTE in football because they didn't like the neurologist who had previously criticized the league. Now, the goal of the study was to figure out how can we detect CTE in living patients, because as we know, Lewis, CTE is something that is discussed that is discovered or assessed, diagnosed post-mortem. It is clearly way too common among NFL players, among MMA fighters, and we've talked about other areas where it exists. So the idea of being able to diagnose this when people are still alive and detect early signs so you could maybe stop playing football, hugely, hugely important. The study was to be funded by a $30 million, quote, unrestricted gift that the NFL gave the NIH in 2012, except that I guess it was restricted by which neurologist is going to be doing the study. The NFL backed out, taxpayers suffered. The NFL violated rules in that it is forbidden for private donors to meddle in the NIH peer review process. And this is an attempt to shape the research. This is the usual way that we see this happen. We will fund research assuming it's the right research so that we get a result that is either good or less bad for us. And it's exactly what we would expect the NFL to do. This is a systemic problem for the NFL. We believe that there will start to be serious lawsuits against colleges for football players at the college level that develop CTE. And increasingly, parents are not willing to have their kids play football. So this is a real problem for the NFL. I'm not surprised that they're doing this. We've been tracking the NFL on this issue for a very, very long time, denying that there's even a link. But this is very real.
Yeah, they're delaying the inevitable, and I'm sure they realize that. So maybe that's the goal here, is just to stall and to delay the inevitable. But in the end, they will have to accept all of this information.
Yeah.
They will have to embrace the reality of the situation. And the best thing they can do is say, yes, this is exactly what's happening. And it's happening in boxing, and it's happening in MMA, and it's happening in hockey, and it's happening to, skateboarders and BMX bikers, and you name it. Just try to mitigate the damage being done. We don't really know what's going to happen with the sport.
Buffalo Bills general manager Doug Whaley said what many people have been thinking for a while now. He told a radio station that, quote, injuries are part of football. It's a violent game that I personally don't think humans are supposed to play. Really quite accurate, right? It's not about helmets or this or that. It's not really clear that this is an activity that the human body is even supposed to be engaged in.
Mm-hmm. This is a realistic man. I applaud this man, and I would say all the players heard him say it. It's the most popular sport in America. It's not going anywhere for quite some time, and it's okay to say these things right now.
And the NFL has figured out, they have a lot of money. They can figure out how to spin this. We have the safest helmets we've ever had. Okay, well, that may prevent concussion, but it's not doing anything in terms of the prevention of CTE, which comes from the cumulative hits that an NFL player is involved in, regardless of what kind of helmet they're wearing. Football is as safe as it's ever been in terms of on-the-field injuries. Okay, but again, that's not what we're talking about, and they are very good. When you have that level of resources available to you, Lewis, you can come up with the talking points that are going to be most effective for the public.
Yeah, I mean, you can fund your own studies. You can do anything, and it's futile though. It is futile. They're losing this battle.
Please give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/David Pakman Show, and also follow me on Instagram, behind the scenes pictures and so much other stuff. I'm on Instagram at david.pakman. I've talked about how people of all ages, but particularly millennials, are owning cars less and participating more in the sharing economy. And one of the more popular options is Zipcar, which gets you a car when you want it, when you need it. They offer all sorts of cars, SUVs, hybrids, whatever you need. It includes insurance and it includes gas. You just pay for the time that you actually use the car, and you can reserve the car online from your smartphone over the phone. Then you unlock it with your Zip card. Each car share member reduces their personal CO2 emissions by between 1,100 and 1,600 pounds per year. For our audience, Zipcar is offering $25 of free driving credit if you sign up at joinzipcar.com/David. Support our show, reduce your carbon emissions and your spending on cars. Sign up at joinzipcar.com/David.